gentlemen, welcome to the final episode of Inside WHS. Kind of flew by,
Yeah,
to be honest.
it's quick.
But yeah, this is our conclusion, final thoughts episode. We'll be talking about kind of everything that's gone down and kind of give our thoughts as to how the school could improve, get more kids to come, and kind of everything in that realm. So, starter off, Ings, why did you choose WHS?
Well, I chose the high school for mostly the courses that they offer. You know, I'm majoring in environmental biology and criminal justice, but, you know, I'm a big science guy. So, you know, the high school is really well fitted to that, has a lot to offer for that course of study. And so I just knew that I would be able to set myself up well for the future.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. Better than my answer, I won't lie to you. But I feel like, I don't know, it was kind of like a natural choice for me. I never really thought about private school I considered. Then again, it's not my choice. It wasn't really my choice to be like, oh, I want to go to private school. It's kind of my parents' thing. But I knew I wasn't a tech kid. And also, like, I feel like for me and a lot of kids who end up at the high school, your friends are going there, so that impacts it. Like, if you grow up with the same group of kids and they're all going to the high school, you'll probably do that. And I think that's one of the reasons kids go to the tech, is because a lot of friend groups, at least from what I've heard, like
they travel together.
Say 5 out of your 6 friends go to the tech and 1 goes to the high school. I mean, it kind of changes things. Sports is another reason that I went to the high school.
Me too.
My brother also went here at the time. He was a junior when I was a freshman. So
My brothers were seniors when I was a freshman, so I kind of get that.
So yeah, it's like you don't want to like separate from them a little bit. The familiarity.
It was kind of a natural choice. You know, I'm gonna quote our new principal, Mr. Ginger. You know, with the got to stick with when we roll cats. You know what I mean?
Roll cats.
Roll cats. Can't leave good old Wilmington High.
Yeah.
No, born Wilmington, staying in Wilmington.
It's shrinking though. It's shrinking, which is crazy. I honestly don't understand it. Like.
Yeah, I don't. It's one of those things where I feel like there's that natural, kind of rise.
Yeah, the little.
We talked about this.
The
before,
wave.
The wave. As vocational school and private school attendance rises, public school would drop. Eventually, that'll flip a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think in our case, there's some improvement to be made at the high school, but I definitely think it needs to be advertised more because we do have a really good program at the high school, and if we do put things in place to make improvements, those need to be advertised as well, so kids can have something to look forward to and say, oh, I want to go to high school because I'll have the chance to do that when I go there. Yeah.
Do you think there's anything in specific, like, do you think kids, what area of the school do you think kids look at first? Like, if you're an 8th grader and you're like, do I want to go to the tech? Do I want to go to the high school? What am I looking at here?
I think the first thing you're looking at is the course of study that they offer.
Yeah.
Right? That's like baseline. I think if the high school can have, like we talked about in episode 1, expand that course of study and create more of a, not more of a career-centered, but just add on more of a kind of a career-centered path.
Like a career support system.
Yeah, career support system, career center. And then if we can expand the classes we have to teach kids more skills or just, offer more interests, then I think kids would see you'd see a rise in the attendance as well as athletics. I think if we just, put next thing kids look at is the athletics. So I think if we put in a little bit of effort into improving the athletics a little bit, our training facilities, whatever, I think we can see a rise there. And then I think lastly is the school spirit.
Yeah.
Definitely think kids, kids want to have fun in high school, right? They're not going to obviously we go to high school to learn, but it's much more than that. It's the friends you make, the relationships you build, the time you have there, if you're having fun or not. So I think if kids hear about the high school and fun activities that go on at the high school and spirit weeks, pep rallies, events at school, just having a good time, like you said, student basketball games against the teachers, whatever.
Yeah.
Kids want that experience, and I think they would want to go. I would kind of draw kids to the high school more.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the big 3, like right on the head there: school spirit, athletics, and obviously classes.
Which I like. Obviously, we already have a very good. All 3 of those, I think, are very good. I just think we need to advertise them more and make small improvements on them.
Yeah, I agree, and I think specifically this year we've seen. If I think one of them has improved more than the others, I think me and you would both probably agree on this. I think the school spirit aspect was kind of attacked this year.
Yeah, 100%. It's gotten so much better. We had things to look forward to throughout the year,
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what keeps kids going to school.
Yeah.
Even like kids that like fail classes, because
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important we mention like the reasons that kids go to the high school is different for every kid. So
Oh,
our
100%.
perspectives are a lot different from kids who are like really pretty much any kid.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's different in what they like and what they're looking for in a school.
Yeah, but I think one thing that's universal to every kid is you want to go to senior prom, you want to participate in senior week. It's
Yeah.
all like every kid. You grow up and you hear like your parents are always like, "Oh, I remember my senior
My
prom.
senior-
I remember my
exactly.
senior week." So everybody wants to get to that.
Yeah.
And so, are there ways to kind of keep the excitement for senior year? Can we move that throughout the other grades, or is
Yeah.
there a way to, I don't know, reward kids for staying motivated through sophomore, junior year? Is there a reward they can reach at the end of the year? Like junior prom's kind of that for the
Yeah.
juniors, but like sophomores and freshmen maybe.
I think we kind of touched upon this in episode 3.
Yeah.
We mentioned, an end of the school year event and just smaller events throughout the school year. I really think that shouldn't just be, the motivation should be, how for prom you have to have a certain grade point average. I think that needs to be a factor as well. You
Yeah.
can have the fun if you put in the work, which is, that's how life works, right?
100%.
You gotta put in work to have some fun.
And I think you see kids like realizing that
Yeah.
more and more. Like I talked about this in one of the other episodes. I don't remember which one. But there's like on the last day of school, you see kids who would like skip school a couple days, kids who missed 20, 30 days of school crying because it's the last day of senior year. And I think that kind of attests to how the school spirit really improved this year.
Yeah.
Because I had never seen anything like, there were some kids I was like, what is this kid crying about? Like, I
Yeah.
never would have thought he would be like
Yeah,
sad
exactly.
to.
But they were sad because, this is a really good year.
Yeah.
There was never really a point where I was like, all right, I just want this to be over.
No, and I think especially through COVID, it was kind of tough because we have a weird
I mean, think
experience.
about it. We're seniors. This is our first and last fully normal year of high school.
And it doesn't even like feel weird to me. Like it doesn't. I feel like
Yeah.
I had the full high school experience because I don't know what it was. We don't know what it was like.
Like to us, I experienced high school to the max. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's
Like, I can know that I missed out, but I don't really actually know what I missed out on.
and it was so tough. I'd imagine for school spirit to even be a thing over COVID,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah,
sophomore
as
year
a
when we were
teacher,
at
how
home.
do you, as like a teacher and administration, how do you create school spirit when kids are sitting at home
Sleeping
apart from one another?
during
Yeah,
Zooms and
exactly.
stuff. We've all been there, but I mean, it's just tough. Like, I feel like the school has bounced back from it so well.
100%. Oh, we have completely done, in my opinion, a 180 from COVID and the times we were in.
Because I didn't even like. I mean, obviously, COVID was horrible. Like,
Yeah.
but it didn't feel like. I feel like considering the situation. Oh, that was a nice voice crack. Considering the situation, the school treated it kind of well, and I know that Wilmington High School struggled with it more than say private schools,
Yeah.
other schools. But honestly, I think over sophomore year, freshman year was kind of tough when we were on Zoom, because obviously it first happened then. But sophomore year into junior year, because junior
Yeah.
year we were what?
Beginning of junior year, I'd say the first quarter and a half, I think, if I remember correctly, we were in masks and
Yeah.
distancing in classes.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, I think we, as the time went on, the high school did a good job kind of adapting the academics
Yeah, I agree.
to it. And they picked up, like, a lot of my classes picked up using, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, they became more technologically useful. Like, they didn't rely on textbooks as much.
Yeah,
Where to this year, well, I don't think I had a textbook at all for any classes.
I had for physics, but physics is always a different story because
Yeah.
physics is just
Yeah.
physics. So, but I know what you mean, and I think that kind of can lead us into the next question. How do you think, using technology and all that, how do you
Yeah.
think that's an important life skill? So how do you think the high school has prepared you well for the future and going off into the world as an independent?
I think well. Like, I'm not.
Yeah,
I think it says a lot to be able to say I'm going into college and I'm not nervous about anything other than just going away, living on my own, taking on new responsibilities. And I'm not nervous about being able to handle the academics. I'm not nervous about
Yeah.
going to meet people. And I think high school is kind of the time where you develop those skills. So I think it attests to the high school how well they did.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm just able to do this and I'm not nervous, I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very excited for college. I'm very excited to go off and learn new things, build my career. I'm very confident in my ability to just meet people and put myself out there because I've had to do that at the high school.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about managing my time or being organized in my classes because I've also learned at the high school. I definitely think that the high school has that really good balance of pushing you to work harder and forcing you to stay organized because you got to stay on track, but it also has that aspect of meeting new people in your classes, putting yourself out there, In order to do group work, you have to put yourself into a group. So you have to meet new people. And I think that was really helpful skill to learn because, like you said, I'm not nervous for college. I'm excited for it and the experience that it's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And we'll both do fine. I think I would say 85 to 90% of kids graduating from Wilmington High School, I think will be 100% fine at college.
I agree.
That's my educated guess. I don't know how accurate that'll be, but
I mean, being within the student body, I think that's a pretty accurate statement to make.
yeah, I mean, and especially you brought it up through technology. Like, I'm not worried about getting obviously I have a MacBook, lucky enough to have a MacBook. It's so clutch compared to the Chromebooks some kids have been on.
I've had my Chromebook since 8th grade.
Oh, that's tough.
It's hey, it works, man.
It's old reliable though.
Old reliable.
But again, we're here using this equipment, and both of us will probably see new equipment we've never seen before as we enter our careers and stuff like that. But I think learning how to use certain equipment through classes, through just I don't know, COVID, through high school in general, I think we've been well versed enough as learners and also in the technological world that we can pick something up and not have to worry about
I agree.
freaking
I think
out.
not even just the aspect of this is specifically learning a certain thing, but the ability to adapt, I think, is what the high school has taught us most.
No, I agree, especially obviously through COVID, because that was kind of crazy. But also through, again, individual classes. At the beginning of the year, teachers and students, the least motivation you see, I feel is at the end of the year and at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I had a couple of classes this year that started off kind of I didn't get along with the teachers or I didn't like the subjects that we would talk about. But as the year went on, at the end of the year, I liked all my teachers this year.
Yeah.
And I think that just, again, adapting, you kind of gotta change your mentality and stuff like that through the year. And I honestly feel like I worked a lot harder this year than ever in high school before because of the fact that I had to adapt and change.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't comfortable with the class or I wasn't comfortable with the teacher. So you kind of have to change yourself in a way to find success. And I think that's something that Wilmington High School helped with.
Yeah, it definitely makes you go out of your comfort zone in certain ways. And it's definitely not unhealthy because it helps you grow as a person. Because you're when you go out after college, you're gonna be put in situations that you're not comfortable with.
Oh yeah.
That you don't like, but you're gonna have to adapt and overcome. And the high school definitely puts you in those situations where it's not so major that it's detrimental to who you are as a person. It won't affect you in a negative way, but it does help you grow, and it does kind of.
100%. And I think you can see
lesson.
that kind of with some of the colleges these kids are going to. You have kids going to Yale, obviously. We've talked about that before. There's a lot of kids who stay local, go to Northeast colleges, but there's also kids who venture to the West Coast, stuff like that.
Definitely Florida too as well.
Yeah, Florida's been big for a couple kids. But you see kids doing this because they're comfortable, or at least they think they are. We'll see. They're comfortable being able to step out and do stuff on their own. And if you told me a middle schooler was gonna go in 4 years, they would go live away from their parents on the other side of the country, I'd be like, what are you talking about? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's never gonna happen to a Wilmington kid, but
But I feel like you see that happening a lot at the high school.
yeah,
And it's because of the skills that they learned through Wilmington High School. I know kids who went to the tech that are graduating this year, and a lot of those kids go to college, but they all stay local. And it makes me wonder, obviously, a lot of kids stay local, but is it because of the tech doesn't make them feel like they can go to the West Coast compared to like the high school? A lot of kids go outside of the Northeast region because they feel they can do that. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely think that the high school kind of pushes people to go outside their comfort zone, and so kids like aren't, like you said, they're not afraid to go out to the West Coast to a brand new place where they may not know anyone, because they know that they can take the challenge. They know that they can put themselves out there and meet people and make connections as well.
Yeah, and I think another aspect of just stepping out, like that's, if there was one takeaway from the high school, I think it'd be kids develop their selves. They know who they are, and they also kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Like they're like not dreamers more, but like they set bigger goals.
Yeah, go-getters, I guess is a good way to put it.
Yeah, like because of I think one aspect is the personalized experience. Everybody has their own counselor. You meet with the counselor, advisory, stuff like that. Like it's a very hands-on experience with faculty. A lot of kids go to big schools.
Yeah.
That's because people, I think, feel comfortable. Like good example is me. I'm going to UConn, huge school. It's not like I'm just gonna have like a counselor that I can meet with every day, waiting for just me. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to get it myself, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
No,
I think it's a good thing, and being comfortable to be able to be like, yeah, I have to go do more. Like if I want to reach the full potential of the UConn experience or the UMass Amherst experience, you have to go and get it. It's not like just sitting here waiting for you like Wilmington High School is. And I think people realize that, and the personal interactions at the high school are so valuable that kids want it. So they're comfortable stepping out and going to these big schools to have to try and get it themselves.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And teachers too, because teachers are very, very helpful at the high school. So
yeah, that's one thing I would make note of with my high school experiences. I've learned who I am as a person. I've been able to find out my strengths and my weaknesses. I've been able to improve upon my weaknesses and just become an overall better person.
Yeah.
100%.
I've realized teachers at the high school compared to, obviously I can only compare it to middle school, but teachers at the high school have kind of pushed me a lot harder.
Oh, 100%. My teachers want the best out of me, and knowing that they want the best out of me for my benefit, not just my benefit, but to watch me succeed really helps me to want to do better as well for their class.
Yeah, I think because we've had such good experiences with teachers, like obviously we're sitting here on a podcast talking about them in such a positive light. Like we don't really have very many negatives to say, if any at all. I think that says a lot, because you'll see kids at the high school too who just don't like their teachers. They don't like school, they don't like their teachers. But if you talk to those kids, and like one of my friends doesn't really like school that much. And I straight up talked to him one time. I was like, what don't you like about it? And he was like, well, I don't know. It's not just one thing, like skating around the question. They don't really have any answers.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing bad about the high school.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I found that too with conversation with the kids. So, oh, this high school is so dumb. I don't like it. All right, what don't you like about it? Oh, well, it's just high school. Like whatever. I just want to go home.
Yeah, and I think kids like that.
And that's a very small population.
Yeah. And you don't see that much.
No.
It's just like interesting to me, like how these kids can be so stuck in like the 8th grade mentality.
Yeah.
Like I see that as like a middle school mentality to me.
Yeah. So many kids you see, it's just they love the high school.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of kids who love the high school. I mean, there's a bunch of different podcasts going on around here of kids talking about it for their projects. Obviously, the sports, I think, is one specific aspect that kids really dive into. And I think that's with good reason, because as we mentioned in the athletics episode, it's kind of big part of the identity here. I don't know if you have anything to say on that.
On what? Oh, the
Just
athletics?
about like how athletics is kind of
Oh.
the current state of it, if you will.
Well, I definitely think when people hear Wilmington athletics, they don't think of a positive.
You think?
I mean, based on it depends on what you look at,
Yeah.
right? If you
What's
ask
like
me, if
what's
you
a
ask,
negative? Give me a
not a lot
a
of win-
negative
We don't
and
win
like
a lot of games.
Yeah, but I think that's because of the
but, like,
league, as we talked about.
Exactly, and that's when but the thing is, that's what a lot of people think of, and that's why I
Mhm.
think we need to advertise more about the accomplishments of our athletics.
Yeah.
Because
I'm-
all you see in the newspaper is, oh, Wilmington fell to whoever.
yeah, felt as a massive school.
Yeah, exactly. But what you don't hear about is the massive school that they are, and that they were most likely some kind of championship recently in the past few years.
Yeah.
And we put up a good game against them, and our players are actually doing really well. We have, I mean, again, how many kids do we have going to college?
I don't
playing
even
sports?
know. I don't even
Too many
know.
to count, right?
Yeah. Upwards,
How-
like double digits at
Like,
least.
that needs to be, like, this year and last year we had that. That needs to be advertised, because when people think of Wilmington athletics, they think of the record, but we're so much more than the record.
100%.
Yeah,
And we
whether
still
it
make
be-
playoffs. We
Yeah,
can have bad
exactly.
records. We still make playoffs. We had probably at least 6 or 7 teams in playoffs this
Yeah,
year.
exactly. And so when the town hears of Wilmington athletics, they think, oh, bad record, bad athletics. In reality, if you dive into it, team experience, right? Being on the teams, it's a family. Let's be honest.
It's awesome. Yeah.
It's a second family. And
It's
then,
awesome.
like we've been talking about, we have kids going to college constantly, right?
Yep.
Making the playoffs constantly. That's what Wilmington athletics is made out of.
And I think that's what it's all about. Like, you have kids who play sports to stay active.
Yeah.
You have kids who play to get involved with the school. You have kids who play just to have fun.
Yeah.
And then you have the kids who want to play competitively, like can play at the next level. And I feel like Wilmington High School balances it all out pretty well.
Yeah.
I've never met a kid who's like made a team and not liked the kids, or like even if kids don't get along well, or like are just like socially awkward. Some kids are just like struggle with social interactions a little bit. Everybody's welcome on the team. I know Stokes talked about it with one kid on the golf team.
Yeah, I talked about that.
And through Stokes, like just talking to Stokes at lunch and stuff like that, or like talking to him about golf, I met the kid and he's awesome. Like he's not a kid you'd think would typically like talk to seniors and juniors. He's an awesome kid, and it's just like you see examples like that, and it's like if these kids never went to Wilmington High School, they never tried to play sports here.
They may have never had that experience of a friend group,
And it kind of makes them figure out who they are. It makes them more comfortable with these social interactions because it's so like the teams are so welcoming.
Yeah.
Like you can
100%.
play a sport. You can senior year, you want to pick up a sport, go for it.
That's what I did. Wrestling.
Exactly.
First and last year wrestling.
Was it your favorite high school sport, you'd say? Or
Probably, actually, yeah. My biggest regret in high school is not wrestling freshman year.
No? Yeah, my
I
biggest
love that
regret
sport.
is like not doing DECA.
Yeah.
Like I wish I did that.
And that's one thing, like, I think kind of transition a little bit.
Yeah.
One thing advice I'd give to incoming students, put yourself out there. Try new things. Just do it.
The clubs and like the sports, as we said, there's so many options, and the options are getting bigger. There's like, again, there was a men's volleyball movement this year that gained some traction, and last year too, I believe.
Yep. We had 12 kids last year. We just never got it organized.
Exactly. I think there was a couple practices this year, but it fell apart.
Yeah. But either way, it's just kids are putting themselves out there and they're having fun.
And you see small scale clubs form, but you also see like the Captain's Academy started up, which is for like kind of the top of the top athletes at the school were in that. All around the club and sports atmosphere of the high school, it's just growing. And I think you get a lot more support than you would at, again, this is like, I'm kind of picking on the tech here, but that's because it's like, that's where most of these kids are picking from.
Yeah.
They're either picking the Shawshene Tech or the high school. I don't think you get as wide of a variety, but also a personalized support at the tech compared to how you would at the high school.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they would pick the tech, but that's just me.
I don't know, but I agree with that. The high school is where it is, man. It's
It
just,
is.
and it like for those incoming kids, you just really need to. Your high school experience is what you make of it, and in order to get the best experience, putting yourself out there, trying new things, trying a new sport, like you said, no matter what year you're going into, senior or freshman year, just do it. Try it. New club, DECA, just do it.
Yeah, and what the sports we've experienced, they'll be very different in the next 4 years when the kids who are coming into the high school this year, next year, all these programs will be reformed and improved
I
because
agree.
they're working on it. Gendron's been working on it. Ingram's done a great job so far.
It's only gonna get better, and that's why like that aspect. We talked about this earlier. It needs to be advertised. The improvements that we're gonna make and what we have already needs to be advertised more. And we need to get the message out there that Wilmington High School is the best place to be for kids that live in Wilmington.
Yeah, I definitely think that if Gendron or the school board, if they come up with an idea, they're like, oh, this is what we want to do. Like we'll take one of your examples from a past episode. We're going to make an improved weight room. We're going to improve the weight room. We're going to get more free weights. We're going to make a bigger space for everybody. We're going to try and get teams to use it more for like involved in practices and stuff like that. If they say that, they don't really I feel like they do projects and they don't really,
Yeah.
they're not like, oh, next year we're doing this.
Like they made a brand new track.
And I didn't even know that.
Exactly. Like the only reason I knew about it is because I watched it happen all summer because I live right next to the high school.
Well, yeah, captain's practices, we'd see. They'd
Yeah.
be like, oh, you can't go on the track, whatever.
It's a nice track too.
Oh no, it's
a
really
really nice
nice.
track.
But it's just it's not really advertised.
We didn't we're improving our athletics here at the high school, and it needs to get out there.
I think if they publicized it more, then it would work. I think more kids would see that and be like, oh, I want to go here. But I also think, even in general, not just advertising programs and improvements they're making, I think there needs to be more interaction between coaches and players at lower levels of sports.
I agree.
Because Wilmington Travel Soccer, Wilmington Youth Hockey,
Definitely integrate
Pop
into
Warner,
the youth.
they're all really good programs. I know, obviously, I can talk more about soccer than any other sport because I grew up in that program all my life. It's unreal. You have state tournaments are called MTalk, Massachusetts
Yeah.
Tournament of Champions, I think. You go down to the field an hour and a half away. It's all the best teams in Massachusetts are playing. You're like, oh, there's a Wilmington team. Oh, there's another Wilmington team.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many teams because the youth programs are so good.
Yeah, football. I know they've traveled. I have kids on the football team, Watson, Joey Coleman, Peter LeBlanc. They traveled, I think, to Florida for a national games.
It's crazy.
We have really good youth sports. I think, like you said, we need to not just advertise what we're doing at the high school, but reach down to those youth sports and really connect with them and show the kids what we have at the high school for them.
Yeah, there's camps. I know
Yeah.
I've helped run camps. I've been volunteers at camps. Basketball camp is a huge one. So many kids do basketball camp and everybody loves it. And that makes that when I think of when I was back in middle school, send me back 4 years. I enjoyed basketball camp, and you grow up going to this camp and you're like, oh, I want to be a counselor one day. I want to be a coach one day. If there was stuff like that, if they could improve the camps for each sport, 100% kids would be like, oh, I want to go play football at Wilmington High School when I'm older.
Yeah, and I know when we were doing that is the new wrestling coach, Mr. Riley, is having a wrestling camp
Oh, that's nice.
over the summer for the younger kids, we had a really small wrestling team,
Yeah.
and it's but we didn't win a lot of matches because we only had 12 kids. Something
Yeah.
like that. It's hard when you're forfeiting a lot of weight classes, but
Yeah.
reaching out to the youth and building that base and trying to get kids to the wrestling program, that's really going to expand our athletics. And we have really good wrestlers.
See, I never would have known that.
We have some pretty good wrestlers.
Yeah.
And
I
we've done really well this year, individually.
Yeah.
We have a really good wrestling team. And if kids know about that and we're able to teach them and connect with the younger kids, we could really have a nice wrestling program in the next few years.
Yeah, I also think
And
another.
that kind
oh,
of
sorry.
relies on the coach. Sorry, Just want to finish this last thought.
Yeah, you're good.
That relies on the coaches. That
That's
responsibility.
perfect transition. I was going to say, I think coaches should really be looking at these 8th grade Wilmington youth teams. Like, say, for example, you have like an 8th grade travel basketball team that wins their league tournament. There should be a Wilmington High School representative, whether it be a coach, AD, even principal. If he cares that much, like, go for it. That should be at some of their games and be like, oh, after the game, go up to the kid, be like, oh, I'm from Wilmington High School, I'm with the basketball program. I just wanted to say, like, you did a great job and we'd love to have you at the high school. Like,
Exactly.
just little things like that would really change an experience. Like, stuff like an example of that kind of similar thing is when I was touring colleges and stuff, I was just, again, you go on a million college tours. You probably had examples of this. I know I had one too. It was maybe I'm like going on a tour of a certain major or something like that. And the dean of the major, the dean of that school, like, you walk up to him and you shake his hand or something, and he's like, oh yeah, you want to come to my office, look at, like, there was this one guy who had like a Ted Williams collection of stuff.
Wow.
And it's like, you get these personalized experiences with some of like the people at the top of their programs, and it's like, oh, that sticks out to you.
Yeah.
You remember that.
Yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
blend in. So if kids could have that kind of experience at Wilmington High School with a coach or an AD, I think that would really make kids want to go to the high school.
I agree.
I don't know how that could translate to like academics. Like,
Well, again, like we talked about, there's different aspects of choosing a school.
yeah.
So they're gonna look at the athletics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna say, all right, good athletics. What about academics, right?
Is there a way to
Because
like?
athletics only last so long in real life.
Oh yeah. And
So,
I mean,
and that's exactly what I like. We can't just advertise one thing. We need to advertise the entirety of the school as a whole.
and it's athletics is a big part of the population. Like, I'd probably say 75% of kids play a sport or are in clubs
Yeah.
or do drama or something. But for the other 25%, I feel like a lot of the time it comes down to academics. Maybe how do you reach out to middle schoolers and be like, the academics at the high school are really good, and how do you get kids interested in that? Because a lot of kids that are in 8th grade they're not thinking, how can I get the best education? How can I learn the most? Some kids are,
Yeah.
but
I
not.
think most kids are, because
I feel like most kids aren't.
well, I mean, if you go to the tech, like when they're choosing between tech and high school, that's the kind of education they want. Do they want more of a vocational or academic?
Yeah, and I think with more kids going to the tech, I think, at least the way I perceive it, is like, they either want to go down a certain path, like they want to do a certain, like, what are they called? Why can I not think of it?
Shop.
Yeah, they want to do a certain shop. They have an interest there.
Yeah.
Or they don't care about the academics that much. They're not
Yeah.
like,
I agree with you on that aspect, but I think one solution to that problem is showing the kids our variety
100%.
at the high school, and I think we also can expand that variety.
Yeah, and I
Right.
think it
'Cause
is expanding. It's always expanding.
Yeah.
But I think they should expand more with a purpose. Like, why are
agree.
you expanding? That's, if I could ask a question to Gendron, I always say Gendron.
Yeah.
He's adding, like, say he adds a course to the curriculum. Like, what's the goal of adding this course? Is it just another course to have, or is it just,
Does it have a purpose? Yeah, I agree.
does it
And I
connect
think
with other classes?
that's something that we need to focus on when we're expanding the curriculum and trying to, increase the, I guess, course offering. It's because we want it to have purpose, right? We can't just have a class just to have a class.
Yeah. And if you do have a class, like, just to have an easy class, you have a tough schedule, like, I need an easy class. There can be classes that have less work. I don't think anybody has
Oh,
a
yeah,
problem with a
100%.
class that has less work, but have that be an intro level class to a bigger,
Yeah, I agree.
have that be the trunk to a bigger tree. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I agree. Yeah, exactly. And I think one way to do that is, like you said, the tech kids that want less work. Could we start including more shop-like classes at the high school, right? Like a basic woodworking class or a basic, welding class, or No, just these small things that can cater to the interests of kids that may want to explore that area, but want to have, I guess, higher level of education as well.
Yeah, I agree. And there's also a lot of kids who go to the tech that are like, I don't know what shop I want to do, but I'm more interested in the shops that they offer than that normal educational courses they offer at the high school. So if we added a welding class, if we added a woodworking class, kids could experience those things without having to fully commit to another school for it. And say a kid loves welding and there's no more welding classes at the high school, then you can go and transfer to the tech and you know exactly what you want to do now. You're not going there just to explore, like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to do that. I think the high school is much better at helping kids figure out what they're interested in.
I agree.
And if they offered more courses, like welding and stuff like that, then they just wouldn't have to fully commit to going to a vocational school.
And it kind of comes back to that. The high school really, you have a personalized experience at the high school. It's very self-guided. And I mean, obviously you have people helping you out, but you can explore the interests that you want.
Yeah. I mean, you pick the classes every year.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if you say you have a bad experience with a teacher, I know it got kind of tough this year in this aspect of it, but like you can request a certain teacher if you get along with them, you like their teaching style better, you know them, something like that. And it's very, you kind of pick your own destiny at the high school. So if you take a bunch of, like I took culinary freshman year, that was always one of the more like easy classes.
Yeah.
Like, did you take culinary?
No, I wanted to, but I just didn't have my schedule.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That's tough. I would suggest, because it's fun. Like you always see kids walking into the lunchroom with like
their snacks
pasta and like stuff like that. But if you take that class freshman year, I loved it because I like cooking and
like
there should be more classes that
higher level
come
of
off
culinary.
Of that. It's like I took culinary and then it's like, what do I do now? There's no other cooking class for me to take. Who knows? Maybe if there was more classes, I would be committed to like
school.
Yeah, like a culinary school right now, but there's no way to know.
Yeah.
And I think if they can keep expanding stuff like that, or even like working with counselors, or I know it's not their job to help us like pick courses and stuff like that, or like kind of figure out what we want to do later in life. But like if there was somebody like an advisor or anything
that
could help us figure out like
a career center.
The career center would be so good.
Yeah.
Like I feel like everything is coming back to the career center.
I definitely think, again, we have, like you said, the counselors already do so much.
Yeah.
And we have a really good support system at the high school. I just think right now we need to advertise what we have, the really good things that we have, and then advertise what we're gonna do to improve it as well, right? Because there's just so many things that can be improved upon. Like, and it's not like improved upon to make it good. It's improved upon to bring it to the next level of good.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm just not looking. Like maybe I'm not checking my email enough or something. But like, I feel like transparency between the direction of the school, like if the people who make these decisions for the school, they were more transparent with what was going on, like what direction are we moving in? That would be such a good thing for parents and kids.
I love is the family updates that Ginger sends out every Sunday.
Yeah.
Those are really nice. And I think if we start making more changes, right, to the athletics, to the curriculum, right, you start adding classes in a career center, having families, like parents and students being able to every week have an update about what's going on, that is so valuable. Because you know what's going on at the high school, you know current events and all that. You'll be able to hear the improvements that are going to be made. Yeah, I think those family updates shouldn't just be for current students, but it should be for the town as well.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good idea. Or like even a school-run newspaper. I don't know if we have one, do we? I feel like you hear a lot about like schools that have that. I'm not sure if we do. Just little stuff like that. Like there's TVs on the first floor. I don't know if there's any on other floors. Like the TVs just have like advertisements for clubs and stuff like that.
Which is good, but it's the same thing all year long. I think there needs to be like highlight reels of current sporting event or recent sporting events,
like going games, on
or like clips of plays and concerts that we've had.
I think if it was like, say during lunch, like there's a TV in the lunchroom, or two of them, I think. during that, you should have like sports clips and stuff like that because kids will look up and they'll be like talking to their friends. They're like, "Oh, look at this clip of me scoring a goal," whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's a TV right when you walk in the school. 7:40, you're walking in the school, right? There's a TV to the left of the library door. That should have updates like the stuff we were talking about, like where's the school going?
Yeah.
What's improving? If there was like an improvement board, if there was a list of things like upcoming projects that the school's working on, stuff like that. Like if I walked in, the first thing I look at is the TV. And it's usually just, as we said, clubs and stuff like that. But if I saw like expanding weight room, if I saw
new track going in,
I'd be like, oh, that's cool.
That's
like,
really cool.
I'll have to keep that on my radar.
Like big things are happening at the high school and are going to be happening. It's just a matter of getting it out there and showing people what's going on. And I think that's one of the things this podcast is kind of the purpose for, is to show people like Wilmington is the place to go if you're residing here in town. It has the academics. It is currently expanding. It will continue to expand. The athletics will continue to get better. The student experience is being made better right now.
And I don't even think the student experience was bad before.
No, exactly.
I think
and like
it was
I'm
good,
saying, like,
and it's just that is specifically
all these improvements that we're suggesting. It's not to make the high school good. It's to make it even better than it already is.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's, I think, when the big takeaway from this podcast is we have a really good school. We're just here to try and help bring it to the next level.
Yeah, I think
and get the word out there that kids, Wilmington is the place for you, and going to the high school will lead to a nice, good high school experience.
I think the thing about the high school is it's a safe floor, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I feel like there's no way that somebody will go to the high school, or at least maybe it's just I'm biased in my good experience with it, and I can't imagine a bad experience. I don't see a world, and I've never heard of kids who are like, oh my gosh, I hate the high school. Like, this was awful. This was a horrible experience. I've never met a single kid who said that. Everybody likes it. So I think it's a safe floor, but it's also a really high ceiling because you see kids going to 10-person programs at Yale. You see kids going to crazy schools.
Yeah.
Whether it be in STEM, you have a lot of people going for finance, business, and even a lot of kids going undeclared to good schools. I think it really attests to how the high school really helps all different types of kids. It doesn't matter who you are, what you're interested in. It's such a good option. And for it to be a public school, I feel like it's pretty much you can't ask for more.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like it's a private school experience. Like, it doesn't feel like a public school to me.
I agree, honestly.
Like, we've never talked about that, but like, it does not, like, I don't know. I feel like it's not, other
it's
than
so
uniforms.
Personalized, and you get such a good contact with your teachers, like a good student-teacher connection, and you build relationships with the staff around you and your fellow students, that it really does feel like a private school in a way.
I think the most public school aspect of it, which is a really good thing, is the sporting games. Why did I say sporting? The sports games, like the concerts, the plays, stuff like that. The stuff that gets the community involved.
Yeah.
And that's something that you would want to get the community involved.
Exactly.
So it's small when you need it to be small. Like, classes aren't too big. Everybody knows the teachers really well. I feel like you get a lot of support. So you have that small classroom experience. But then when you want stuff to be shown off, when you want, like, you get rewarded for working hard.
Yeah,
I feel like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, say you work hard at these, like, you and your team of what? You had 12 kids on the wrestling team?
Something like 14, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. You work hard all season with the same small group of kids, same team.
Yeah.
Then some teams make playoffs, and you have huge numbers of people going to these games.
Yeah.
And so it's really rewarding to be able to see such a small, personalized experience is appreciated by such a large community like Wilmington.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, I don't think that's something you get at a Shot Sheet and Tech.
No, Wilmington High School is an experience and a step in life that you don't want to miss out on.
It's just disappointing that I feel like we shouldn't even have to have this conversation about why kids are going to the tech.
But we do. And again, it just three basic points that we've kind of come down to. It's the advertisement of academics, athletics, and student experience.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%.
It's, I guess, one of the bigger aspects is reaching the community.
Yeah, so is that your big suggestion?
My big suggestion is obviously like the small improvements that my suggestion is the small improvements that we've made or that we have mentioned.
Yeah.
I think those could be, put into motion.
Yeah.
But I think other than that, advertising the high school.
Yeah, I think to go into the advertising, you just need to, if I'm the high school, if I'm the one calling the shots, I think you talk about these projects, you come up with the ideas for programs and improvements and stuff like that. Not only should they keep doing that, and I think they should do as many as they can, obviously, but they need to publicize it. They need to announce, like, when kids commit to colleges for sports or just commit to colleges in general. You have kids going to these crazy schools, make it known to the parents of the kids in middle school.
You've seen a bigger, I've seen an increase in that.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't, but
yeah, but like I think Nikos and Elizabeth,
yeah,
I think they were in like the top 1% of the nation in the SAT.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Something like that. I think that's what it was.
Something
But
crazy.
I saw on Twitter or something. But I think we need to utilize social media more and really push the high school. And I think a newspaper would be a really good idea as well, like you mentioned, or even just having a whole segment, like in the town crier. It's like town crier, all Wilmington High School, something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, another like sidebar suggestion to the school. This isn't like a grand idea, like we're kind of wrapping it up here with, but I forgot to throw this in on any other episode. Isn't there a room next to the LGI that has like equipment for like filming?
Yeah.
They should have like a student
news
podcast,
station?
like a student news thing.
That'd be awesome.
Throw that on the TV.
Yeah.
Like that would be cool.
I agree.
Little stuff like that. So yeah, I guess that can kind of lead into my grand suggestion. Keep expanding the clubs, keep like growing the sports and the club scene, to get every kid involved, because there's some kids who don't, like 10% of kids, 15% of kids maybe, they don't like sports. They don't like drama. They don't like stuff like that. Find a way to get those kids involved too, because the 80% of kids that are involved, they love it. So you might as well try and get 100% of kids fully invested in the school, because that grows school spirit. And when you have good school spirit and you're getting involved, that translates directly to academics.
Yeah, I agree.
So if we can, I think the two big suggestions here, just keep growing the programs and the curriculum as well, and advertise it. So when you make changes and then advertise the changes.
I think, yeah. And when you say expand the programs, I think part of that is expanding our advertising program as well.
Yeah, and I feel like it goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Those
They kind of intermingle with one another. But it's definitely the problem we're facing right now with low numbers is definitely a fixable problem.
Yeah, and I think it'll naturally fix, as you said with your little wavelength diagram.
Yep.
It will go up soon, naturally, but you want to, obviously the school would want to make that change sooner. And I think by taking our suggestions and by talking with other people amongst the school board, again, amongst like students at the high school, I feel like those changes can be made sooner.
Yeah.
And
it's also not just make the change, but also how do we prevent the change from going the other way again? Right? How do we prevent that natural curve of less kids going to the high school again?
Yeah, I think I'm no professional at determining stuff like that, but if I had to guess, I'd just say just keep improving. That's all you can do. If you stay stagnant and you stop improving the curriculum or adjusting it to how the modern times have changed, like as we mentioned with COVID, we started using technology a lot more in the classroom. If you can keep adjusting and adapting, then it'll always get better. And there's no way that the school fall short, if you will, if they keep changing.
Yeah.
So, final question. Short little wrap up.
All right.
10 years down the line, where's Wilmington High School?
10 years down the line, remember something in high school? Well, I think if they can take the improvements that we have suggested and advertise them, I think Wilmington High School will be a flourishing school full of students that are seeking out many career paths, having that personalized experience, learning new things, putting themselves out there. And I think Wilmington High School can help change the world.
Wow. That was honestly inspiring. That was
Yep.
inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not as an inspiring of an answer as that, but like, I think 10 years down the line, we talked about the Middlesex versus Cape Ann League. We will be solidified. We will be a bigger school. Probably, I could imagine double the size if everything goes perfect.
Yeah.
I think the school will be not looked at as one of the smaller schools of the region, not looked at as like should I go to the tech or go to the high school? Kids are going to want to go to the high school over the tech just because of the options that the school could provide. If they introduce more classes, they introduce more branches like within course selection, so kind of like expand on little majors and minor potential ideas, if you know what I'm saying. Like take the criminal justice route, give some more classes there, culinary route, like put some more classes. If they can make little changes like that, I think it won't be much of a question anymore. I think it'll be, why would I go to the tech unless I want to do this job?
I think a good way to put it is Wilmington High School will be the option, not an option.
Yeah. That's how you say it, and
Yep.
take out a lot of words to say it that
exactly.
way. But yeah, I think it's about making it the option, not an option.
Yeah.
No better way to wrap it up than that. So.
Oh, yeah. And to me, that's what Wilmington is right now. Wilmington is the option, not an option.
Yeah, we see it. It's just a matter of making more people see it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think we're on the right direction to that.
I think we are.
So
yeah,
hopefully this podcast helps.
I hope so.
So to anybody listening, thank you
Thank
for
you so much
tuning in for the past 5 episodes. It was good. It was a good experience for us to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I don't know if Gendron will ever hear this or anybody involved with the school will ever hear this, but I'd imagine they would. But just listen to us. We're students. We know we're just trying to help provide another perspective. And to any parents or kids who are making that decision, like, do I want to go to the high school? Do I want to go private, vocational? Go to the high school. Like, it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's
a great time.
You won't have a bad time. You probably will have a great time.
Oh, yeah.
It's
a good way to put it.
No better way to leave it off. So
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for listening, and good luck in picking the high school.